Hey everybody, this is TJR.
And this is Robert Kinsler.
And the word just broke today. Lindsey Buckingham is suing Fleetwood Mac.
Mm-hmm.
A while ago, we got together when it was announced that Lindsey Buckingham would not be part of this tour, which many feel is more than likely the farewell tour for Fleetwood Mac. And we talked a little bit about our thoughts on it and whether or not it was still Fleetwood Mac and about the inability to work out whatever differences there were. But at the time, we didn't know what the differences were.
Right, yeah, we didn't. Yeah, I know we kind of conjectured quite a bit, but we didn't really know.
But now that Lindsey Buckingham has filed a complaint, a legal complaint, it looks like we've been given some more insight into what's going on here. And I'm just gonna read a little bit here about just what's on the complaint here. Lindsey Buckingham has filed a lawsuit against Fleetwood Mac for breach of what's referred to as fiduciary duty, breach of oral contract, and intentional interference with prospective economic advantage, among other charges. And and of course, some of the reasons we've been given here, the complaint details some of the build-up to him being taken out of the band. Now, apparently, the tour, the band Fleetwood Mac, began scheduling the tour, but Buckingham wanted to delay the tour until November, which would be in another month.
Right.
He wanted to delay it till then because he had a solo thing going on.
He had a solo album that he completed, and most artists, especially like a legacy artist like that, they want a tour in support of that album to try to get interest not only in their previous material but their new material too.
Yeah, of course. And the band did not want to wait those 3 months. They wanted to go ahead and get their tour going. So it looks like he agreed to postpone his album for a year to accommodate their wishes. So he actually postponed his album, and it's not out. And then, let's see here, apparently when he found out that they were only going to play about 3 shows a week, he wanted to book some solo shows in between. And the band didn't want that.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, first of all, what do you, I mean, first of all, there's can we wait till November?
Yeah.
No, we can't.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because
I can see both sides.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's got an album. He wants to get it out there. He wants, like you said, he wants to tour to support it. So he holds off. Then he says, "Oh, you're only going to play 3 nights a week. Can I book some shows in between?" Now, what I don't understand
I don't have a problem with that. I don't see why that would be an issue.
I can kind of see from a practical standpoint why it might be. Only because none of them are getting any younger, and this is just my opinion. Only because none of them they're not young anymore, and maybe he's in better shape than them. Who knows?
Yeah.
And he can handle doing 5 or 6 nights a week.
Right.
Maybe he can. Maybe he's going to book like 1 or 2 shows, so maybe he can handle 4 or 5 nights a week. They can't. But I can see where having him doing this on the side could impact their tour, because what if something happens to him at one of those other shows? What if he becomes more fatigued as a result of doing 4 to 5 shows versus just 3 shows? I can kind of see it, that there is some concern with that. But at the same time, I can see the other side of it. It's like, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
if you're in good shape and your chops are good, which they are. I know I saw Lindsey Buckingham. I'm trying to think how long it's been. Maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But yeah, he was amazing. Great guitar player. He had a good voice, and he looked. I'm thinking I just saw the Zombies. A couple of those guys are in their 70s, and they're frequently playing all over the world. They're playing on cruises, and they're amazing. So age doesn't automatically dismiss you from being able to handle that.
I have to figure, since the other members of Fleetwood Mac are only doing 3 nights a week, certainly you see much younger artists doing a lot more than that.
Right.
But I get it. You're older now. You don't have the same physical stamina you had, and most people don't realize how much touring, how much stamina that takes.
Yeah, it's tough.
Just getting to the gig takes a lot of stamina. Travel can be traveling in and of itself is tiring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know,
it is.
So I can kind of, I get that kind of tells me that physically, they don't want to push themselves too hard.
Yeah.
They want to, they don't want to like, I see that as a good thing because you want to make sure the shows are good.
Right.
Especially with what people are paying for ticket prices.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. But yeah, it does feel at times like you could say, geez, that they're just being really unflexible with him.
Yeah.
Since he's got this solo thing going. The other thing, though, that strikes me about here, now the complaint states that there's never been a written agreement among them, and so that this is just a verbal contract. And I guess the complaint also says, the complaint ends with a copy of an email that Buckingham sent to Fleetwood Mac back on February 28th, where he tried to work things out. And saying, he says, ever since we played the Music Cares, which they did just a few days prior before him being told he was not in the band anymore.
Yeah, that was in January of 2018, right? Okay.
So apparently in February he wrote to them and said, he's saying none of you are returning my emails. None of you are communicating with me. Can we please try to work this out?
Yeah.
According to the email that he has in the complaint here. And he says in the email, after 43 years and the finish line so clearly in sight, he says, which once again implies this is it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
this is the last tour.
Well, yeah, more of their career is behind them than ahead of them. That's to be certain.
So clearly, he's indicating that this is it, and that we need to work this out. He's the complaint within the complaint. He's saying, "Hey, I tried to work this out."
Yeah.
Is what he's saying, and so now he's suing because he feels that they just weren't very cooperative, and that they've kind of cheated him out of this.
Yeah. And I think there was also a reference, at least in one of the media reports I read, that they said it had impacted his relationship with Live Nation, who's a well-known concert promoter. As well. So it looks, there's some other things mentioned too as well in there.
And that I can understand that. And a lot of people may not realize that. Yeah, Live Nation is huge.
Yeah.
And that that impacts his ability to tour solo.
Right, it
which
does.
apparently he intends to keep working.
Yeah, he does. And you can't blame him if he has a new album on the way.
Yeah. Now, a spokesperson for Fleetwood Mac has stated that it's impossible for the band to offer comment on the legal complaint, which just came out today as we're recording this. It's Friday today, by the way, although you may not see this till later. The spokesperson for Fleetwood Mac said it's fairly standard legal procedure to service the complaint to the parties involved, something that neither Mr. Buckingham nor his legal counsel have done, which makes one wonder what the true motivations are when servicing press first with a legal complaint before serving the parties in dispute.
Yeah.
So, that's Fleetwood Mac's side kind of saying, that we feel like he's playing it up to the press.
Yeah.
Versus trying.
And then I will say later in the day, because this came later, Fleetwood Mac did issue an updated statement that reads: Fleetwood Mac strongly disputes the allegations presented in Mr. Buckingham's complaint and looks forward to their day in court. A representative for the band said on Friday, which is today, the day we're shooting this, quote, "The band has retained Dan Petrocelli to handle the case." And then Petrocelli is a Los Angeles attorney, and he's previously represented the Eagles, Don Henley, and Glenn Frey in their lawsuit against guitarist Don Felder, who was fired from the band back in 2001. And everybody kind of knows about that. I was actually pretty sad about that, and I thought the Eagles lost a lot when Don Felder left the band. And I haven't seen any dates on this tour. And as we discussed in the previous episode, I've seen Mike Campbell. I'm a huge fan of guitar. He was obviously lead guitarist of the Heartbreakers. And Neil Finn was both a member of Split Enz and more recently of Crowded House. A fantastic singer, songwriter, a big fan. I just don't know how those two guys could replace Lindsey Buckingham. Although I know I've seen some good reviews. But it's it's just very, very sad when things like this happen. I think it's just what is it about lawsuits and rock music? It's weird
just seems to
bedfellows.
happen.
Yeah.
We forget sometimes that the Beatles at one point everybody sued everybody.
Yeah.
At one point. I heard Ringo sued himself on accident.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
And I was going to say, actually, when the Beatles were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, as I recall, George Harrison and Ringo were there, and Paul didn't come because of something going on. It's just sad when you think about some of these musical greats that built their careers and their legacies together, and they can't get along, at least in front of their fans. Yeah. That's like this lawsuit, I guess, or this complaint alleges that he's going to be out $12 to $14 million. It's like, at the end of the day, is it really, it's just, and I guess everything is kind of about money sometimes, but yeah.
I sometimes wonder if it hasn't got to do with more personal issues than can we wait till November? No. That feels, that's what we're hearing is like the business decision. We don't want to wait till November, Well, can I book some solo shows in between? No. There are business reasons for that I could kind of sort of understand, But the other thing is that apparently in a number of the articles I've read on this before we shot today, a lot of them talk about that Music Cares performance they did, where they were all together, they performed, and I guess there was a speech given by Stevie Nicks. Now, according to all the articles I've read, and I've read numerous ones, when they were introduced on stage, apparently Lindsey Buckingham took exception to the fact that the Stevie Nicks track, still a Fleetwood Mac track, but a Stevie Nicks song, Rhiannon was played while they were introduced. And apparently that made Stevie Nicks angry. Also...
Now, Lindsey Buckingham angry, you mean?
I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, yeah. It made Lindsey Buckingham angry.
That's right.
But then it upset Stevie Nicks that he was apparently angry about this.
Okay, understood. Yeah.
About the fact that he took exception, that it made him angry.
Okay.
Because it is a Fleetwood Mac song, and it's a well-known one. I guess they could have done "Don't Stop," which is a Christine McVie song, which might have been more politically correct at that point within the band.
Try to bridge the gap there or something.
Exactly. Don't play one by Lindsey Buckingham, don't play one by Stevie Nicks, play one by Christine McVie, so that neither of them can take exception to that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you're already getting. I've kind of given away what I'm getting at already. Yeah. Then apparently during that same show performance, when Stevie Nicks gave a speech and the rest of the band stood behind her, apparently it's reported that Lindsey Buckingham was smirking during her speech, and that made Stevie Nicks angry, and she told their manager, "I don't ever want to be on stage with him again."
Okay.
And that apparently Lindsey Buckingham was also told this by Irving Azoff. Lindsey Buckingham took that to mean that she was quitting the band versus him getting fired.
Yeah.
And so, as I've read this in other news articles about this, it kind of is framing this whole thing as that it might have less to do with business and more to do with just people personally not being able to get along.
Yeah.
We've seen this in rock and roll before. The Police.
Plenty,
Yeah, a good example where they just couldn't get along anymore.
Just couldn't get along
until decades later when they finally did the final tour, which they all kept it together for that.
Yeah, look at the Kinks with the two brothers. Even brotherly love isn't enough there, or more recently with Oasis as well. Yeah, where although there's talk of them getting together, but who knows what will happen, or if there ends up being more fistfights or something. It is a sad commentary. Yeah, I mean and obviously there's a lot in these reports out today. You don't two sides are going to try to spin it in their favor. Exactly. So you just don't know where the truth fully is.
Yeah, but I do sometimes wonder that it's more personal than business. Yeah. That it comes down to just a more personal grievances, and we sometimes take it out on each other and say it's business versus personal.
Yeah. A good point. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it winds up if it gets out. One thing, if I can forecast I don't think out of any of this that we're going to see Lindsey Buckingham on stage with them. I don't think a legal complaint is going to get them on stage to actually make music together. No. So that's an additional sad part of this story.
There is one other thing, though, also I want to bring up that I remember now that I read once again in numerous reports. Apparently, remember when we first talked about this, and I said, this lineup, if they were going to make a new album, then I'd say, well, that's been part of Fleetwood Mac's history to change their lineup. And if they made something new creative, then I'd be much more into it.
Right.
Versus it's just a tour.
Yeah.
And when these guys are joining, they're just going to play Fleetwood Mac covers. You know, these for Mike Campbell and I'm sorry, Finn.
Neil Finn.
Neil Finn. Excuse me. Thank you. For the two of them, it's like this is a job, and you know, I'm sure it's a fun, exciting job.
Yeah.
But basically, they're covering Fleetwood Mac songs. They're not doing anything uniquely creative. And apparently, I wasn't aware of this until I read more about this story as it appeared today in numerous different publications. Apparently, Lindsey Buckingham has been trying to champion a new Fleetwood Mac album. And he says Stevie Nicks just hasn't been into it.
Okay.
Into the idea of doing it. So on the one hand, we've got Lindsey Buckingham saying, I've been wanting a new Fleetwood Mac album. Let's do something creative and new. Stevie Nicks doesn't want to do this.
Okay.
Then on the other hand, we've got Lindsey Buckingham was upset that Rhiannon got played when we walked out on stage.
Yeah.
And then he's smirking during my speech, during Stevie Nicks' speech. And so you kind of can see where both sides have these complaints about the other.
Right.
You know, Stevie doesn't want to do a new album. Lindsey got mad that they played my song when we were introduced, a song that I sang on, and I assume she wrote it too.
Yeah.
So, you know, it does feel like sometimes this gets more personal than business.
Yeah. No. You've made a compelling point there. Yeah. Exactly.
And it's a shame.
Yeah.
Because who loses is the fans.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm thinking too. That the fans make it. Obviously, the artists have talent and all that good stuff, but the fans are what they buy the albums, they go buy the concert tickets, and
they keep it afloat.
Yeah, they keep it afloat and do it. And it seems like the fans' interests are always put last, even though they that's been the way it has. It's been like that forever, and I guess it's not going to change.
Yeah, and it's a shame. Yeah, sometimes people just can't get along.
Yeah.
And like I said, we are not there. And in no way do we try to pretend like we understand or know. We just we're just giving conjecture.
Yeah, exactly.
What we're saying is just conjecture.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're not there.
Yeah.
And like you said, everybody's trying to spin their version of it.
Right.
The truth falls somewhere else.
Right.
Between those two sides. Somewhere in the middle, somewhere, I guess. Who knows? Is there anything positive we can say about this? I feel almost like this is such a downer to be talking about. I
guess some attorneys are going to make some money.
I guess so.
I guess that might be the one outcome, and it's sad for fans because I have a friend, and after the Beatles, Fleetwood Mac is it for him. He just loves Fleetwood Mac. And it's like those are the people I'm thinking of. It's just sad.
Is he going to go to the tour? Do you know?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him. Yeah. Or I'm thinking about like all the AC/DC stuff when Brian Johnson left. I mean, if that, and we don't know if this is the end of AC/DC.
But that was health reasons, wasn't it?
It was health reasons.
Yeah,
but
we
then
don't get along reasons.
But then it sounded like from Brian Johnson saying that it was kind of done unceremoniously. He was just kind of ousted from the band when he said he had some hearing problems. But now I've heard rumors that they are back. That they've. I think there was so much backlash. People, AC/DC fans, at least the hardcore ones I know, they just don't want to hear Axl Rose, lead vocalist of AC/DC. Yeah. They say, hey, he's great in Guns N' Roses, but we want Brian Johnson. But again, like I said, I don't have any investment in what side of the fight, but it's just sad because it seems to me like the hardcore fans, and we know all these bands have
hardcore fans.
They seem to be the losers in all this, whether they're fans of AC/DC or Fleetwood Mac or whomever it might be. Yeah.
Okay. Well, folks, we hope this video wasn't too much of a downer for you. I'm not sure if do we even want to release this?
I don't know.
I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah.
Folks, if you're watching, let us know what you think of all this. Share your thoughts and opinions, and just try to be civil. And we'll talk to you hopefully next time. We'll have something more positive to say.
Yeah. And I definitely look forward to reading the comments.
Me too. I do. Actually, I really do.
Maybe it'll be more resolved there than it is here.
Yeah, who knows? If you have suggestions on how to resolve this for the band, please let us know. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Take care.
See you later.
Bye-bye.